I have lived another beautiful week of life and I'm ready to tell you about it. First, let's start off with Tuesday. Now Tuesdays I have class at 3 p.m. on Headingley campus, but I decided that this week I was finally going to take some time and explore Headingley. Now Headingley is where I have 2 of my classes, so I'm there quite frequently, but it is a half-hour bus ride away, and usually by the time class ends I'm ready to go home. So my class on Tuesday ends at 6 p.m, so not a lot of time to explore after that, especially since it's been getting dark a lot sooner, so by the time I get out of class it already looks like it's midnight, which is great, especially when it's raining. But I decided to go beforehand, have a look around, and that would be much better. Now, as many people know, I love to thrift shop, and in Headingley there are a surprising amount of thrift shops, thrift stores, namely this one called Oxfam, which has a separate bookstore and then thrift shop. Now the thrift shops here don't have the selection of clothes, and I wouldn't say that they're as trendy as some of the thrift stores in America, but they do exist, and I was able to find one thrift find, this shirt from the Oxfam store. It's kind of nice checker. I always like the Peter Pan collar, so this was a good find. It was the only find, but I did find some vintage stores as well to go into, and I had fun just exploring the area. Now after thrift shopping I decided to go to Meanwood Forest, which is in Headingley as well. This is kind of just like a giant forest that has a park connected to it and some sports arenas, but mainly just woods, and I love me some woods. It really makes it feel more homey here to just be completely surrounded by trees. So I emerged deeper and deeper into the woods, and there were a couple signs, but mostly you were just turned loose into the wilderness, which is always nice. And there was a little waterfall, and a bridge, and I saw some dogs, so that was a good time. And then I just headed back for my class. On the way to the Meanwood Forest was another one of these free libraries that I keep seeing all over Leeds. It's kind of like a little box with a clear window pane kind of just nailed onto a post or a tree. This one was a tree, and it's painted up. It says free library, and it just has a bunch of books in it, so the people in the community are just supposed to take whatever book they want and leave a book in return, and they can swap it out or return the book or do whatever they want, but it's kind of like a community library, which is kind of cool, and if we don't have that already, we should bring that to America. That day I also had to break a 5 for my bus fare, so I finally tried wine gums, which I have seen all over the place. They're basically wine flavored gummies, and they're like the chewiness of a Lifesaver, and then they are white, pink, and red wine flavored. So there you go. Wednesday I had some free time in the evening, and I spent that doing a little Christmas shopping because I started to realize, hey, it's mid-November and I have 1 month to Christmas shop. So yeah, I went to Trinity Leeds, which as you know is the mall in Leeds, and I did a little shopping around the Victoria Gate area, which is kind of where the Trinity Mall is situated. And I also woke up the next morning, Thursday, and did some Christmas shopping as well at the Corn Exchange, which is kind of like a big building full of local stores, so that was nice as well. Now Saturday was pretty exciting because I had yet another day trip that I just kind of booked because I wanted to, because that's how my life goes now, and it's great. Now Birmingham is a 3-hour bus ride away, so I caught the bus at 7 a.m. and had a nap. And when I got to Birmingham, the first thing I did was grab a coffee and a Christmas toastie at Costa. So I've explained to you what a toasty is at this point. So this was a Christmas toasty, so it also had cranberry sauce and stuffing on it, so it was like toasty to the next level. After that I went to the Bull Ring, which is kind of just this huge metal building that you can see from very far away because it's shiny and just futuristic and kind of terrifying. But I walked inside and it was just this overwhelmingly huge mall with every British store I had heard of so far, plus more. So I did a little wandering around some of the unique shops. Like there was one that just had strange cooking ware that I had never seen before, with like spoons shaped like people, which is also kind of terrifying, but hey, whatever. And then I found myself in the Selfridges building, which is supposed to be shaped like a designer handbag from what I've heard. It has all these little dots over it, but anyways, it's kind of like a Macy's, and it was huge, and it had all of these giant Christmas decorations in it, a huge toy section with like Harry Potter action figures, and one of the coolest things was a bottle your own alcohol section. So they had all of these like shaped cork bottles, so there were ones in the shape of like gingerbread men or stars or letters, and then they had all of these taps of different alcohols, and you could pour in whatever one you wanted, and then you could add sparkles to it. So they had like this wine with sparkles in it, and it was hooked up to this machine so that the sparkles would keep stirring, and it looked like something out of a movie. It was really cool. But yeah, that store was really neat, and then right outside of the store was part of the Christmas markets. Now Birmingham has a huge Christmas market that spans all across the center of the city, so this little part was just kind of like a bar, but it was set up so that it had trees around it and big wooden statues of like snowmen and wintry things, and it also had personalized igloos, so there would be tables with like an igloo around it, so if you wanted a private party in an igloo, I guess you could do that. And then all of this overlooked a church with a big Christmas tree in front of it, so it was very festive. Now after this I went to the Birmingham Museum and Art Gallery, so it's kind of like a 2-for-1. You only have to go to one building to experience beautiful artwork and ancient artifacts. So we started out, well, it was just me. I went solo for this one. I started out in the art gallery, and it went from pre-Raphaelites all the way up to 20th century art. There was pottery, paintings, statues, you name it. One of the coolest things that I found was actually a sailor's map that looked just like it was from the movies. So you always see like pirate maps with ornately decorated edges and all these lines on them, and I never really thought, you know, that's how they actually made the map, but it was, and it was really cool to see that map, and you could get really close to it because it was kind of on a table with glass over it, so you could study it pretty well. And there was also some medieval artwork, which is always fun to look at because the people are always normal proportions, and then the babies are just like all wrong. And it's kind of scary, but you know, medieval art, it's gotta be cool. Anyways, after that I went downstairs to a special exhibit, which was all female artists, and they had some live poetry, live music, and live models. So some of them were standing around the room, and they had different costumes on. Like one was very celestial, one had very delicate flowers all over her, the other had some like sci-fi monster face paint on, and they had artwork all the way from the 60s to now. So it was a very wide range, and it was paintings, there was crochet work, which is probably my favorite, big statues, so it kind of covered all the bases. It was a really great exhibit in itself, and that was kind of like a fun, unexpected piece of my trip. And then after that I went to see the museum part of the Birmingham Museum and Art Gallery. So in the museum part, you start on floor 2, I guess it is, and it's just the history of Birmingham. So like the Leeds City Museum, it takes you all the way from the beginning of time up to now through Birmingham, and it's very detailed. And then after that I went upstairs and I had the Ancient Civilizations exhibit. So they had Rome, Greece, and Egypt. And the Egypt display was very cool. There were several mummies, one of which was an alligator, and they also had several animal mummies, which are always so cool to look at. They had a cat and a falcon amongst other animals. They also had a selection of amulets that was pretty impressive, and some canopic jars. So I always like the ancient Egypt stuff, and they had a very good display there for that. So after that I went to St. Philip's Cathedral, which is actually fairly small, but it's kind of in this gated area where more of the Christmas markets were set up. So I looked around the stalls and then I went in the church. Everyone was very friendly inside, and actually a children's choir was practicing while I was in, so I got to hear some nice music while I was looking at all the stained glass and the historical artifacts inside the cathedral. And then after that, it was time to go to Sea Life Birmingham. So Sea Life Birmingham is probably the coolest aquarium I've ever been to. You walk in and it kind of looks like a walking experience through the aquarium. I don't know how to describe it, but it just looks like it's going to be really fun as soon as you walk in. So basically you hand them your ticket and you walk behind this little wall, and there are penguins there, and they're swimming around and eating dinner, and you just get to watch them do their thing. And then you kind of walk up this big ramp, and it's all done up like a forest or something, and there's different fish exhibits. So I saw some catfish, some stingrays, and you walk past those, and then you go to the little tide pool where there's some starfish that you can touch, and I feel bad for them because they probably don't want you to touch them, so I was very gentle. I hope I was. I apologize to the starfish if I wasn't, but I really tried. Anyways, after that you walk into the main part of the building. Now this aquarium is very cool because it kind of has some cutouts in the tank where you can kind of like look at the fish from different angles than just standing in front of them. So they have some tunnels cut out in the aquariums for kids to walk through, and they also have some like places where you can duck your head under and see the fish swim past you. I really liked the stingray exhibit. This one stingray was very excited to have visitors and kept swimming like up right on the glass, and I always like to see the stingrays from that angle because it always looks like they're smiling at you. They're just like happy to be alive. Well, they live in captivity, so maybe they're not happy to be alive, but they're making the most out of their existence. Aren't we all? Anyways, I also saw some shrimp, clownfish. They always have a tank with the Nemo fish in it, seems like. They had a big tank full of just clownfish, which was pretty cool, and then I saw a tank with like 3 very small eels that were like poking up from the dirt, and they just look so happy. Fish just look so happy. Is that just me? Anyways, he just kept popping up and just moving around, saying hi to the world. We also walked past some spitting fish that would literally spit at their target from outside the pool. So this girl I was standing next to just got sprayed in the face by this fish, so that was pretty hilarious. And then you kind of walk over a bridge, see some more fish, and then you go down to the ocean exhibit, which is like the crown jewel of this aquarium. So the ocean exhibit is one big tank, but there's a big tunnel cut out. So you walk into the tunnel and the tank is all around you, even under your feet, and you just get to watch the fish swim like over you and under you. It's so cool. And they had giant sea turtles, some sharks, stingrays, fish, and that was a really cool experience. So I stayed there for a long time, just watching the fish swim by, you know? So after Sea Life Birmingham, I walked outside and I was right on the canal, so I kind of took some pictures and enjoyed being canal side, seeing the moon shine down on the canal. There were a bunch of boats parked by, so it was just kind of a nice place to be. Also, there was a little Legoland next to Sea Life Birmingham, and they had these big Lego statues, including this huge Lego giraffe, so that was kind of cool to see. And then I just kind of made my way, following the canal, back to the main part of the Christmas market, which was situated in front of the museum that I had been to earlier that day. Now the Christmas markets in Birmingham, like I said before, are huge. They stretch kind of down an entire street, and it was a bit overwhelming and totally packed, but there was live music. The marshmallow stand that we have in Leeds was there, which is really nice. They have pretzels. I got a cheese pretzel because you have to at the German market, am I right? And they just had some really neat decorations that we don't have here, such as this spinning windmill that has Christmas characters and lights on it. So I just kind of walked up and down the streets about 2 times, just taking it all in. And then I popped in a few stores because I had some free time, including an American candy store, which was kind of hilarious. They had things like Pop-Tarts in them, and then they also had British candy in there, so I wouldn't say it was the best representation of American candy. I always find that American candy aisles here have like very obscure versions of American candy. Like they won't have Jolly Ranchers, but they'll have like Jolly Ranchers Chews, which like, that's not it. But anyways, after that I had a very long bus ride to look forward to. I was a little bit early to my bus stop, so I had to get myself situated, make sure that the bus stop was actually the bus stop, which is always fun. And then I had 3 hours to just sleep, which is exactly what I did. And then Jacob and I have made a master list of movies that we need to watch, because for a long time, I felt like I need to culture myself, because there are so many films out there that as a film student, I just really need to watch. And so we watched one more of those on Sunday. We watched Alien, and I feel like that was long overdue, but I did enjoy it because I always like outer space movies. On Monday, I was in full Thanksgiving mode because it's on Thursday and I can't wait, but I am underprepared. So I went to Pound World and got some foil tins to bake everything in, and then I also got foil takeaway containers, so like takeout containers to keep all the leftovers so I don't have to buy a bunch of Tupperware I'm not going to use. And then I also picked up some cool Christmas decorations, such as this little London bus that holds a tea light, and then this is very popular in England, the chocolate advent calendar. Now, they have Cadbury and Galaxy and Milky Bar and all the like nice chocolate companies, but I just went with Peppa because she was cute. Also, I kind of started early, but don't tell anyone. Anyways, as you can hear, I still have that cold. I bought some blackcurrant throat lozenges and some paracetamol, so fingers crossed that will do something. Probably not. Anyways, I also went to Primark and got this cool Simpsons shirt and some tinsel for Christmas. So I'm just really in the holiday spirit right now, and Thanksgiving is Thursday, and I have so much shopping to do. I'm gonna try to make all of my family recipes, and I'm going to try to like FaceTime as many of my close friends and family as possible on Thanksgiving. It's just a day where you need to be with family and friends, you know? And I am miles away from them, but that does not mean that I can't feel at home somehow. So hopefully I'll be able to find like a live stream of the Macy's Day Parade. If I could get the dog show too, that would be ideal. I've already looked around and they don't sell pumpkin here. I have been to so many stores and they just don't have it. So I'll be making a cinnamon pie instead. It kind of has the same consistency, so I'll just have pumpkin pie when I go home for Christmas break out of real pumpkin, and that'll be a-okay. But until then, I'll see you next week when I will no doubt have had a very long week full of adventures. And when I say long week, I mean fulfilling and rewarding week. So I can't wait to tell you about all the adventures that I'll have next week and all the great food that I'll have made for Thanksgiving, probably in my little food coma. Sounds lovely. Okay, I'll see you then. Bye!